And we're back, and we're back, and we're back, and we're back for the fourth podcast with your boy L Dub, the Real Sports Fan Podcast, Hall of Fame edition. I'm very, very, very excited for this edition of the Real Sports Fan Podcast. So we had to talk about one of my favorite players growing up, Tracy McGrady, Tracy Lamar McGrady Jr. to be exact. And he went to the Hall of Fame last Friday, September 8th. Well-deserving in my book. Some other people's books, they try to dilute it and don't think so. But before we get to that, there's your boy L-Dub. I appreciate you listening. I always give you a lot of AKAs, but with this, I'm just going to tell you AKA T-Mac. That was my guy. That was one of my guys growing up. So I'm excited to get in, to the podcast today. And I'm solo today. I really just want to kind of talk about, not that I have to validate T-Mac's career, but I just want to just talk briefly about him, talk about what he meant to me, talk about what he meant to the game, and just even refresh on people's memories about certain things with T-Mac. So again, I appreciate you listening, and T-Mac went into the Hall, and I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. I don't know if people have a problem with necessarily him getting in the Hall of Fame, or if they had a problem with the fact that he was a first ballot Hall of Famer when you had some guys that people think should have made it already and haven't made it with him. I mean, I know one guy that I think about that I think should have made it along with him. He wasn't first ballot, but Chris Webber hasn't gotten there yet. But some things too are politics. But again, I'm not really here to talk about the Hall of Fame or who's not in it. But I want to talk about T-Mac, man. And I said before on Facebook some months back that people kind of forget the greatness of Tracy McGrady. A lot of times people point to the playoff record and him not getting out the first round. Which obviously has been documented, but at one point, and to all the Kobe fans, shout out to my pops, he disagreed with me, but it was a barbershop talk at one point. Who is the best between Tracy McGrady and Kobe Bryant? Now we tend to forget that. We tend to forget that in 2017 that at one point people did debate that. Now obviously Kobe fans are gonna be like, well, I never debated. He was obviously the best, and I'm not talking about. Obviously I'm not talking about rings, because sometimes even in sports, like especially now, like everything is based off how many rings you got, getting this ring. And people are leaving place for rings, and it's not about people not wanting to win, but some people really just didn't have the team around them. So I'm also going to talk about the team that he had around him, or team that he necessarily did not have around him to win. He couldn't do it by himself. It wasn't. See, Tracy wasn't a guy that got to the playoffs and froze, or got to the playoffs and just couldn't get it done. He rose his game to another level. He really just didn't have the help. So we're gonna get into all that. But growing up, man, I used to want to shoot threes, stay behind the arc, shoot a set shot three, and that was really about it. But McGrady, he came in the league in '97, and I remember those last couple of years. He was only in Toronto a couple of years, but watched him in Toronto. But then when he went to Orlando, man, he just took his game to a whole nother level. And I started shooting the mid-range jumper because of T-Mac. Not only did I start shooting the mid-range jumper because of Tracy McGrady, but even the fadeaway because of McGrady. Because T-Mac, he could dribble between the leg, pull up for a three. He would dribble between the leg, pull up, hit you with a mid-range. He would dribble, pull up, step back, fadeaway jumper, mid-range jumper, which is pretty. And he just knew how to score. And another thing that gets lost, it wasn't just strictly a score. I mean, when he wanted to play defense, he could. He played against it was a series when he played against Dirk when he was with the Rockets, where he took the assignment and played Dirk. Him and Kobe, again, they went at it. You never want to stop, Kobe, just like, you're not going to stop T-Mac. But he wasn't afraid of the challenge. But he was great rebounding the basketball, and he was great passing the basketball as well. And as I go over some of his stats, you'll see that for his career, and again, we're factoring into his whole career. We're also factoring in the end of his career when obviously his stats went down because of injuries and because of knee injury and stuff like that. And a lot of times, the last place that we're at as professionals, that's the last image that we have of him. But for his career, he averaged 20 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists. He technically is 4.4. I guess you can't round it up, but I'll give him 25 and 5. And it really could be saying 26 and 5. But to be exact, 19.6 points, 5.6 rebounds, 4.4 assists. So, that's for his career. But, T-Mac, the 9th pick in the 97 NBA draft, he talked about how his jersey number at the ABCD camp before his senior year was 175. And he had talked about how nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew who he was at that time. If I'm not mistaken, the number 1 player in the country at that time was Lamar Odom. And by the time T-Mac left that camp, the ABCD camp, which is a famous camp that every true hooper knows about, that people love to get invited to, he was, everybody's talking about T-Mac. He was the best player. So coming out of high school, which, let's face it, a lot of people can't come straight out of high school and go right into the NBA. So obviously his first year he comes out, he gets drafted by the Toronto Raptors, and he talks about, he even said in his speech, and Isaiah Thomas inducted him, and he was talking about how he was glad that Isaiah fired his first coach. And to be honest, when I thought about it first, I was like, he talking about Butch Carter? Because I was like, but I thought he had really liked Butch, but it wasn't Butch Carter, so I apologize, Butch Carter. It was actually Darrell Walker. I forgot Darrell Walker. He was basically saying that, Darrell Walker didn't really give him the confidence. See, that's one thing about basketball. We have confidence, but you need that coach that's going to keep instilling that confidence in you. So he didn't really bring that confidence on T-Mac. He put T-Mac down a lot. So that first year was very, very tough, for T-Mac. So then they fire Darrell Walker, and that's when they get Butch Carter. And that's when things start to get better, and Butch Carter even says that as long as he worked a little harder, that he could be a very good player. So Toronto, they draft Vince Carter, and if you don't know, Vince and T-Mac are cousins, and they didn't find out they were cousins until they actually got into the NBA. But going to that, so again, we had the 97 draft, had the 98 season, 98-99. But let's go to the 99-2000 season, when you could probably say T-Mac really then put his imprint on what he could possibly be in the 99-2000 season. In the 99-2000 season, he averaged 15.4 points, 6.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and 1.9 blocks. So in that season, he started showing the signs of what he could be, and he started showing the signs of what he could do. So 97-98 season with Darrell Walker at age 18 when he coached him, only averaged 7 points a game, didn't get a lot of love. 98-99 seasons, he averages 9. But then that 99-2000 season, 15.4 points. So they're like, okay, we see what the kid can do a little bit. When he came off the bench for a little bit, and then later in the season he started starting. So then he got his first taste of the playoffs that same season. Now they were swept by the Knicks, but it was still good experience that he got in the playoffs. So let's stop right there for a minute. Now, going into that summer, he was a free agent. I remember this like it was yesterday, because after that 99-2000 season, that was my freshman going to sophomore year of high school. So I remember being like, man, what T-Mac going to do? He going to stay in Toronto? Is he going to go to Orlando? Because now everybody's like, man, he should have stayed in Toronto with Vince, man. Vince did good things there. If I'm not mistaken, he didn't get Toronto the second round. They had that battle with the Sixers in the 0-1 playoffs, Game 7 and whatnot, and where they lost, and Philly ended up going to the playoffs. But a lot of times now, and I've even thought about this before, like, can you imagine him and Vincent stayed together and had that 1-2 punch? But this is the thing we got to understand. At the time, T-Mac was trying to find himself. At the time, T-Mac needed to show people his all-around game, his skills. I don't know if he could have done that with Vince at that time on how Vince was drafted. Now, people forget. A lot of people think he just went to Orlando for the money. He just went to Orlando to go back home since he's from Florida. But that wasn't the case. He had a great opportunity, yes, to go home. But people forget he went to play with Grant Hill. And my God, I always say, out of all the what ifs, if Grant Hill did not get hurt, it's crazy to think, because the whole time that Tracy was there, from the 2002-2001 season to the 2003-2004 season, Grant Hill only played a total of 47 games. And we're talking about the 82 game season. All right, but Grant Hill only played a total of 47 because of the ankle injury. So if he could have played with Grant Hill, that would have been a perfect compliment to him. And also, people forget, they tried to get Tim Duncan to come, and Tim Duncan was on the verge of coming. They said that, Tim Duncan, they was all at the, Doc Rivers had him at the, dinner, and all of them was sitting up there and thinking about coming, but Tim just couldn't leave at that time, San Antonio, and
that play correct out of the timeout, and Popovich obviously upset with Manu.
Here's McGrady for three! And the Spurs now lead by 7. Rockets looking for a quick shot. Bowen is all over McGrady. Foul is picked up. A potential 4-point play. Tracy McGrady from downtown, and Tim Duncan could not get out of the way. Barrett can't find anybody. They have no timeouts remaining. Finally gets it in to McGrady. McGrady overflowing for yes! Yes! Tracy McGrady gets it in. Kevin Brown lost it. Here comes McGrady. No timeouts remaining. McGrady for the win. Yes! 1.7 to go. San Antonio with no timeout. Here's Parker, and the Rockets steal a game from the Spurs. Tracy McGrady with an incredible performance down the stretch.
I want people to remember
that play correct out of the timeout, and Popovich obviously upset with Manu.
Here's McGrady for three, and the Spurs now lead by 7. Rockets looking for a quick shot. Bowen is all over McGrady. Foul is picked up. A potential 4-point play. Tracy McGrady from downtown, and Tim Duncan could not get out of the way. Barrett can't find anybody. They have no timeouts remaining. Finally gets it in to McGrady. McGrady overflowing for yes! Yes! Tracy McGrady gets it in. Kevin Brown lost it. Here comes McGrady. No timeouts remaining. McGrady for the win. Yes! 1.7 to go. San Antonio with no timeouts. Here's Parker, and the Rockets steal a game from the Spurs. Tracy McGrady with an incredible performance down the stretch.
Your side, and instead of Grant Hill being by your side, you don't have that. Grant Hill. You're talking about. I kind of tell people. He was LeBron before LeBron. Like, Grant Hill was that all-around player where he could score. They was just actually showing highlights on Harvard classes. He was getting 30 a night easily, hit the mid range. I mean, Grant Hill was that guy. So when you take a player like that away, of course the organization wasn't prepared for that. It's going to create something. But anyway, that year he averages that, and they lose and they lose 3 games to 1. But it's not like Tracy didn't do what he's supposed to do, because in that year he always Jeff Van Gundy said this, he always upped his numbers in the playoffs. Okay, he always rose to the level in the playoffs and played even better. So in the playoffs that year he averaged 33.8. So hold on, he went from 26.8 in the regular season to 33.8. Huh? 26.8 to 33. So he raised his average by 7. 6.5 rebounds, 8.3 assists. So he made his teammates better. 8.3 assists in the playoffs. Game 3 of that series, he had 42 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. Had an awesome game. So go to the next year, 2001-2002 season. He averaged 25.6, 7.9 boards, 5.3 assists. That year, he was named to the first team. And he also had that that was a year here, and I mean, this is a highlight where he had that off the backboard pass in the All-Star game. He also did that in the regular season game too. People forget, but that's the first time that year he did it in the All-Star game. So he did that in that year, and they got to the playoffs again, but they lost 3-1 to Charlotte. Lost 3-1 to the Charlotte Hornets. But what did he do in the playoffs? He just raised his numbers again. 30.8 points, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and then, just for the heck of it, I'm going to add 1.2 blocks. That year, again, first team, that was the first of back-to-back first team, because they actually made the first team in 02 and in 03. He made the first team. So then you go to, I will probably say, I'm not going to probably, I ain't going to make that statement, even though that's not the year he had his career high in. The 02-03 season was his best career year. He got his first scoring title. He averaged 32.1 points. 32.1 points. And this is a guy that could hit the pull-up 3. He could drive. He could hit the mid-range. He could post you up. He got to the foul line. I mean, it was so much that he done. So 32.1 points. In the NBA, that wasn't like it is now, where you can't touch nobody. Yeah, it wasn't like it was in the 80s, early 90s, but it was still more physical. And he threw in there 6.5 rebounds and 5.5 assists. And this is what I'm saying to y'all. I'm adding these other numbers. He's just not a scorer. Like he was still giving you either 5 and 5 or 6 and 5, and then he raised it in the playoffs. He was still giving you that. That year in the playoffs, that year he was also 4th in the MVP voting. So, he still was taking his game to another level and showing people, look, hey, I'm the real deal. You know what I mean? I'm the real deal. I'm trying to win this thing. All right. So that year in the playoffs, and this is the year that, and I ain't gonna lie, he spoke too soon, and it definitely hurt me, because I just knew that they had these boys beat. But if you remember, this year they was up 3-1 on the Pistons. Now, they were up 3-1 on the Pistons. Now, any other year, the series would be over. Because remember, the years before, he lost 3-1 to the Bucks, lost 3-1 to the Hornets. It was a 5-game series then. But this is the year that they took it to 7 games. And I remember saying to myself, man, this man can't win for nothing. I said, all years they go 7, so it would have been over. But remember that Pistons team and that was really that first year with the Pistons team with Chauncey and Rip and Ben and them. And they were up 3-1, and he made the infamous quote, saying it feels good to finally get to the second round. And what did the Pistons do? They win 3 straight. They come back and win it in 7. So that was really then, that stung, and he definitely spoke too soon. But again, he didn't have the help that he needed. In the playoffs that year, 31.7, 6.7 boards, 4.7 assists, 2 steals. The guys he was playing with, he had his buddy and one of my favorite players, former Miami Heat. I know it's about T-Mac, but I had to do that before Miami Heat. I'm sorry, Matt. Mike Miller. But that was rookie Mike Miller. You know, that was rookie Mike, and later on, I think it was the final year, they traded Mike, and T-Mac wasn't too happy about that. But anyway, but the other guys he had on his team, Drew Gooden, good college player, but NBA. He had an old Horace Grant, Stephen Hunter. Do you remember him? I do. Wasn't that good. Jock Vaughn. I'm just naming some guys. They had Pat Garrity, Gordon Garchek. I remember Gordon Garchek could shoot, but I mean these are all guys that can't create, guys that he's got to make plays for. An old Darrell Armstrong. You know what I mean? They even had and I'm going to say an old Sean Kemp. Sean Kemp was on the team. He was an old Sean Kemp. He wasn't Sean Kemp from Seattle. He was old Sean Kemp. Sean Kemp, they picked up all that weight and couldn't do nothing. So it wasn't all his fault. You can't blame him for everything. Like the first round, even though you think you get that close, all right, you can will us to one more game, but he tried. And that was good. That was a great Pistons team. Remember, the following year, the Pistons won the championship. So then you go to the 03-04 season. That was actually a tough year for them. They started 1-10. Doc Rivers got fired. He did win his second scoring title that year, averaging 28, 6 boards and 5.5 assists. But they fired Doc after the 1-10 start. And it just, didn't work out for them that particular year. So, obviously that was tough for them, not, being able to make the playoffs. Cause that was the goal, was to get to the playoffs. Now that year though, and they had this game on Harvard Classics not too long ago. He had his career high of 62 points against Gilbert Arenas and the Wizards. And man, he just hit shots left and right. So then, following that year of averaging 28, that's when this trade happened, and I was very excited about this trade. The 7-player deal, just to name a couple people, he got traded for Steve Francis and Cuttino Mobley. And then he signed an extension, a 3-year, $63 million extension. That initial season when he got there, the 04-05 season, they started 16-17. Getting used to each other and the chemistry and stuff like that. But they did finish with 51 wins, and they were the 3rd seed in the playoffs. Obviously, they had Yao Ming with them. Being able to play with that, that big and Yao. And this was a fun year. This was the year I'll never forget being in college and seeing him play against the Dallas Mavericks. Excuse me. The San Antonio Spurs. Seeing him play against San Antonio Spurs, and they were down 13. Excuse me. They were actually down 14, but they were down, and he scored 13 points in 33.3 seconds. Do y'all remember that? When he hit 13 points in 33 seconds, and he hit. I'll never forget. He hit four straight threes, and then he hit one that was a 4-point play. I'll never forget the way he shot was kind of awkward. One was a 4-point play. He kind of leaned in and hit it, and then I'll never forget. He got the rebound and dribbled down. I never forget. They didn't call a timeout, which is smart by Van Gundy. He just pulled up, boom, game-winning 3. I mean, that was a historic game to 13 and 33 seconds. Man, that was just amazing. I mean, that game was over. And now they did, obviously, because we're talking about man who hadn't got the first round. So they did lose in 7 that year to Dallas. And backing up for a minute, in the regular season that year, he averaged 25.7 points, 6.2 rebounds, 5.7 assists. He also, in the playoffs that year, y'all remember he had that he went baseline. Woo! Think about giving chills. Went baseline and got that dunking game too over Sean Bradley. 7'6" Sean Bradley banged on him hard, and that was tough. But they did lose in 7 games, and he even hit a game winner that I think game 2 too. But they lost in 7 games. moving on to the 05-06 season. He had back spasms that year a lot, so he only played in 47 games. And they did miss the playoffs. He did get to play in the All-Star game, which was in Houston that year. And in the All-Star game, he had 36 and 27 minutes. He put on a real show. And for the season, he averaged 24.4 points, 6.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists. So he was still giving me that, but they didn't make the playoffs. So it was tough. But again, a lot of times that's what injuries would do. Now the 06-07 season. So this is the third year together in Houston. And going back a little bit to the 05 season, he made the third team that year. So he made the third team in 05, and he made the third team in 2008. So what's that? 4, 5, 6. What's that? 7 all NBA teams, 2 firsts, 3 seconds, and 2 thirds. So going to the 06-07 season, in the season he averaged 24.6 points, 5.3 rebounds, 6.5 assists. Now they did have a good team. I will say honestly that they should have beat. They lost to Utah in 7 games, and I'm not talking about John Stockton and Karl Malone, Utah. I'm talking about Darren Williams and Carlos Boozer. Yeah, Darren Williams was real good then. Carlos Boozer was real good then, but I think T-Mac and Yao should have won, but they did lose in 7 games. So that hurt, and I'm remember T-Mac going to the podium saying, I tried. He was I tried my best. He got emotional and that's what he was saying, but he did. But still it wasn't good enough, and they lost in 7. So going forward, got the 07-08 season. Now the 07-08 season, it was very interesting because they had that winning streak where it's the 4th longest winning streak, was 22 games. That 22 game win streak, excuse me, if you remember, and that was 22 straight. Like I know Reese a couple years ago, the Warriors had that streak, but they were carrying over from the following year, but they had 22 straight. He had in the same season also the 27 straight, but they had a 22 game win streak, and they had a real solid team, but T-Mac was still dealing with things, and that's just the thing, how the injury bug. He had to get his going forward to the playoffs, he had to get his shoulder drain and his knee drain. So he was dealing with stuff then, and Yao, he was really coming into his own, and which was real good. So they tried, but they couldn't get it done. And at that same year, Utah again. This time they lost to Utah in 6 as a 5th seed. So that hurt. Now he did have that game in Game 6, other closeout game, where he had 40 and 10. But again, couldn't get it done. The following year, the 08-09 season, he missed 18 games, and that was actually a year, if I'm not mistaken, that, and I'm gonna have to, I can't have my producer look it up right now, but and I'm gonna verify, but it was either the 08-09 season or 2010 season where he had a real good team that actually ended up getting to the second round without him. Because I remember they took the Lakers the distance. I'm pretty sure that was 2009, 2010. They took the Lakers in the second round, I think, to 7 games, and that was without him. I think they had at that time Battier and no, you know what? It had to be the year before. It had to be the year before because, if I'm not mistaken, Ron Artest was on that team, and I'm having some difficulties right now not being able to look that up. But anyway, but he only played in 18 games that season. Then afterwards, he had a microfracture surgery, we had the arthroscopic first, and then eventually he ended up having a microfracture, which, people hate to hear that word. Hate to hear that microfracture word. So yeah, I'm right. Rockets lost to the Lakers in 7 games, 08-09, and I thought it was 08-09 because Artest went to the Lakers and had a big season for Lakers in 09-010 because he helped them beat Boston. But 08-09 is when he was on the Rockets and they gave Kobe and them a lot. And that's the year that Kobe and them beat Orlando. So that's what I was getting to there. But yeah, and I thought that was the case there. But he only averaged 15.6 in that season, the 08-09 season. So that was another injury plagued year for T-Mac. So this is, these last couple years, and even talking about him, my boys get kind of sad because this is when he kind of started going downhill. If you look at the 09-010, he only played 6 games. And then in February of 2010 is when he traded to the Knicks. And I remember the opening game with the Knicks, he had 26. But for the season, he just couldn't hold. He only averaged 9 points. I think it was like 4 boards and 3 assists. It was something mediocre in only 26 minutes. So then the following year, and here's where you just kind of at the end, you just holding on a little bit. He signed with Detroit in 2010, 2011. 11-12, he was signed with the Hawks. So I remember he had a real good game, one game on the Heat, one game regular season. And then in 2012, after a year, he signed with the Chinese Basketball Association. And yeah, he went over there, averaged 25 and 7.5. 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.6 steals. But that was over there. Then at the end of the year, if you remember, he signed with the Spurs. He was actually on the bench. Almost had a title, even though it was that way. With the Spurs, now he didn't go through the whole playoffs with them, but they brought him in for the finals. So that was basically the farthest he'll win. And he was on the bench. He got a good view at Ray Allen hitting that shot to beat the Spurs. And then August 26, 2013, remember he was on first date, and he retired on first date. So that's how it went down at the end. But again, I don't want us to harp on the end. I want us to have that lasting memory of how great Tracy McGrady was. And so many guys that he influenced. Durant had a nice quote out about a nice tweet out about him, just as far as the influence he had. The T-Mac was all about buckets, man. I mean, T-Mac got buckets, man. He got buckets. He dunked on you, man. Man, if you listen to this, man, just put. Pull up YouTube, man, and just type in Tracy McGrady, man. Just look at some of the highlights of how great he was, man. And I'm just happy that he got in the Hall of Fame. He's only 30 years old. First ballot. Wasn't a strong class this year, but he's still first ballot. And he deserves to be in there. Couple little points here, and I'm gonna get on out of here. They were saying, they have all these rankings and different things nowadays about all-time ranks, but as far as all-time for T-Mac, the Book of Basketball ranked them 77th for all-time in the NBA. ESPN 63rd, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this took place. I think they did this a couple years ago. ESPN 63rd, Slam 75th best player of all time, and then in 2006. They had a thing. Sports Illustrated had a thing. I need to pull this up for myself to see who else is on that list. But they named him after the original 50 greatest, which is in '96. Since that had been 20 years later, they did the next 20, and T-Mac was one of those 20. T-Mac was one of those 20. I mean, that's how great of a basketball player he was, man. And again, Grant Hill. Yes, if Grant Hill don't get hurt. The playoff success he could have had. Yes, we said Toronto. Excuse me. The playoff success he could have had. And I'll say probably in Houston he should have had more playoff success because he had some better teams with him and Yao. But Western Conference was better and they just couldn't get it done. But this man had a great career. He influenced a lot of people. And he was just an awesome player. And I just wanted to You know, I seen his Hall of Fame speech, and he talked about how even his wife had to tell him to look in the mirror and say, "I am a Hall of Famer. I deserve to be here." And that's not a direct quote, but you know, I'm paraphrasing. But because even him, you know, in a way, in the back of his mind was like, well, I didn't got the first round. Like, this person didn't. He in the Hall. I didn't do this. Like this, he in the Hall. But he had a great career. Again, he averaged 25-4. You know, for his career. You know, awesome career. Straight out of high school in the NBA, now in the Hall of Fame. Like, and they were talking about that if he went to college, he would probably went to Kentucky, which is interesting. But you know, it's not too many guys that come out of high school straight and do what he did. So, you know, I appreciate, you know, you guys listening. You know, because, you know, T-Mac was one of my favorite players of all time, and I enjoyed watching him when he was playing at a high level, and he just had some awesome games. So, again, I appreciate you guys listening to the Real Sports Fan Podcast. Again, it's the Real Sports Fan Podcast, the Hall of Fame edition, episode number 4. Hope you guys take a little bit from it. Hope you guys enjoyed the content of it. And I'll be seeing you guys back real soon. And if you haven't heard the third one, it's out there. Go take a listen to it. Got some good stuff talking about the game. You know, so shout out to T-Mac. And we out. Peace.